Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really zeroing in on the UEFA Champions League Final 2025. It's the big one everyone's waiting for.
Absolutely, and we've got a whole load of reports and analysis here. TalkSport, The Guardian, Reuters, you name it.
We've waded through it all. The idea is to really unpack how Inter Milan and Paris Saint-Germain stack up against each other for this massive game.
Exactly. Our mission, if you like, is to pull out all the key insights, the main storylines, give you the full picture of what's shaping up for Munich.
Okay, let's get into it then. Essentials first. Put this in your diary. Saturday, May 31st, 2025. Kickoff is 9 p.m. Central European Time.
And the stage is the Allianz Arena in Munich. Massive stadium, about, 75,000 capacity?
Yeah, a proper cauldron. And the story itself, it's classic, isn't it? You've got Inter Milan, three-time winners, loads of history.
Right, they know how to win this thing, or at least the club does.
Up against Paris Saint-Germain, still looking for that first Champions League trophy. That contrast is pretty stark.
It really is, that difference in European history, you know. Inter have that legacy, that maybe inherent belief. Whereas for PSG, it's the ultimate goal, that hunger, but also that immense pressure. Could go either way how that affects them.
Definitely something to watch. So how did they get here? Let's look at their paths. Inter had, well, a pretty tough run.
They certainly did. Beat Bayern Munich 3-2 on aggregate.
Tight one.
Then Benfica, a bit more comfortable, 5-2 aggregate.
That semi-final against Barcelona, wow.
Oh yeah, that was something else. A real comeback epic, wasn't it? Ended 7-6 after extra time. Incredible stuff.
Just shows incredible resilience. What did you make of that Barca game tactically?
Well, it showed Inzaghi isn't rigid. You know, he adjusted things mid-game, really exploited Barca's weaknesses late on. That could be a useful trick against PSG too.
Good point.
Yeah.
And PSG, their route wasn't exactly a walk in the park either.
Not at all. They needed penalties to get past Liverpool, remember? 2-2 aggregate in that one.
Sense.
Then Aston Villa, which was just goals galore, 5-4 on aggregate.
Villa pushed them hard then.
They did. And then Arsenal in the semis, a more, let's say, controlled win, 3-1 aggregate. That performance at the Emirates, securing the win away, was impressive.
So the takeaway from both runs?
I think it's clear. Both teams have overcome top-tier opponents. They've been tested, pushed hard.
They're battle-hardened, basically.
Exactly. Mentally strong. They won't be fazed by the occasion, you'd think. That fortitude is going to be massive in Munich.
Okay, let's pivot to domestic form. Inter. They're sitting second in Serie A. 3 points behind Napoli, but with games in hand, so still in the hunt.
Yeah, and interestingly, after that draining Barcelona match, Inzaghi really shuffled the pack in the league. Lots of rotation.
What does that tell you?
It screams priorities, doesn't it? He's managing workloads, keeping key guys fresh. It suggests the Champions League Final is absolutely the main focus now. Balancing act.
Makes sense. PSG, on the other hand, they've already got League One wrapped up, title secured.
Which should breed confidence, you'd think.
You would, but they're actually coming into this final off the back of 2 straight losses. Nice and Strasbourg beat them.
Yeah, that's the slightly odd bit. Okay, it gave some fringe players game time, sure. But it also, maybe, highlighted a few defensive issues. It looked a bit shaky at times.
So titles in the bag, but maybe not arriving on peak form?
Potentially. Or maybe it's just a blip, taking the foot off the gas domestically. But, you know, conceding goals like they did, it raises questions. Inter will have noted that, for sure.
Right. Let's talk fitness and availability. This is based on info around May 8th, so subject to change, obviously, for Inter.
The big one is Lautaro Martinez, isn't it? Hamstring niggle, workload management.
Yeah, but the feeling is he'll be okay to start, especially after getting rested in Serie A.
That's the hope for them. He's crucial. Elsewhere, Marcus Thuram and Benjamin Pavard, both doubts with ankle issues.
Could be significant absences.
Could be. But better news on Denzel Dumfries. Seems like he's recovered from a knee knock. Should be available.
Okay. And for PSG?
Well, the definite absentee is Presnel Kimpembe. Out for the season, foot injury, big loss at the back.
Long-term one, yeah.
But there's good news, too. Ousmane Dembélé seems to have shaken off that hamstring scare.
That's huge for their attack.
Massive. And Lucas Hernandez is fully fit after his ACL recovery. Lee Kang in? Maybe a minor ankle doubt, but probably okay.
And crucially, no suspensions, right? Cards wiped clean.
Correct. Both managers should have, injuries permitting, pretty much their full squads to pick from. No disciplinary worries.
Good, good. Okay, tactics time. This is where it gets really interesting. Inter typically that 3-5-2 under Inzaghi.
Yep, a system they know inside out. Key features are the wingbacks pushing high, giving them width.
DeMarco on the left, especially.
Exactly. And you also see those overlapping center backs. Bastoni often stepping in midfield.
Feeling alone, yeah.
Precisely. And it all tends to build from deep through Çalhanoğlu. He's the one pulling the string, starting those transitions.
Very structured. PSG, though. Luis Enrique likes that 4-3-3 on paper.
But it's so fluid, isn't it? In possession, it morphs. More like a 3-2-5 sometimes.
How does that work?
Well, often Hakimi tucks in from right back to form a temporary back three.
Right, okay.
That frees up the likes of Nuno Mendes on the other flank and, crucially, Dembélé to just bomb forward. You'd up with almost 5 players right across the attack.
Ahead of that midfield pairing, Ruiz and Ugarte usually, pressing high.
Yeah, they provide the energy, win the ball back. It's a very dynamic, flexible system. Hard to pin down.
Which leads us neatly into key player battles, because these systems create some fascinating duels.
Oh, definitely. First one that jumps out. DeMarco for Inter versus Hakimi for PSG. Down that flank.
Inter's left, PSG's right. Massive clash. Can DeMarco pin Hakimi back? Or will Hakimi's pace stretch Inter's back three?
It's huge. DeMarco works incredibly hard, gets forward himself. That might force Hakimi to be more defensive.
But if Hakimi gets through...
If Hakimi gets space to run into, his speed and delivery are just lethal. That's a key battleground, for sure.
Another one, up front for Inter, assuming he's fit, Lautaro Martinez against Marquinhos.
Classic striker versus center back duel. Martinez is so clever with his movement, finding space.
Especially those runs into the channel.
Exactly. Marquinhos needs all his experience, his reading of the game to handle that. And yeah, like you say, Martinez's fitness level on the night will be a big factor there.
Absolutely. And then in the middle, the tempo setters. Çalhanoğlu for Inter, deep lying.
Again, someone like Vitinha for PSG, who's more mobile, roaming.
Yeah. That's a real battle for control, isn't it? Who dictates the pace? Who disrupts the other's build-up?
Totally. Midfield control is often where these big games are won and lost. Çalhanoğlu wants to orchestrate from deep. Vitinha will look to press, link play, break things up. Fascinating contest.
Okay, let's crunch some numbers. Expected goals, XG tournament average per 90 mins. What does that tell us?
Well, PSG slightly edge it based on the data leading up to the semis. They were averaging 2.01 XG per 90.
And
Inter were at 1.77 XG. So PSG creating slightly higher quality chances on average throughout the competition.
interesting. But like you always say, averages are one thing, a final is another.
Precisely. It gives you a hint, but it's not definitive.
Yeah.
It suggests PSG have maybe been a bit more potent overall, but yeah, context is key.
What about the bookies? What are they thinking? As of early May, anyway.
They seem to lean towards PSG too, but not massively. For the win in 90 minutes, PSG were around plus 120, Inter plus 225, draw plus 230. That's DraftKings odds.
So PSG favorites, but Inter definitely seen as having a strong chance.
Yeah, exactly. And looking at to lift the trophy odds, Odd Checker had PSG at basically even money, 11. Inter slightly longer at 64.
Reflects that slight edge for PSG in the general perception, maybe. They're attacking stars.
Probably. Plus, maybe Luis Enrique's reputation, but the odds are close enough to tell you it's expected to be tight. No runaway favorite here.
Right. Now let's talk intangibles. Things beyond stats and tactics. Big game experience. Who has the edge?
You'd probably have to give Inter a slight nod there, wouldn't you?
Because of the 2023 final.
Yeah, many of those players were involved. They've felt that specific pressure cooker recently. Plus, they tend to do well in domestic cups, know how to win finals.
Whereas PSG?
Still searching for that first Champions League win. None of the current squad have won it, I believe. The weight of expectation on them is enormous.
Yeah.
That's a different kind of pressure.
How they handle that could be key. What about the managers? Inzaghi versus Luis Enrique.
Two interesting profiles. Inzaghi's record in UEFA knockout ties with Inter is frankly outstanding. Something like 13 wins, only 2 losses, and 2-legged ties.
Wow, that's impressive. He knows how to navigate these.
Seems so. But then Luis Enrique, he's won this competition before with Barcelona in 2015.
True, he's got the winner's medal.
And he seems to have really galvanized PSG this season, built a better team spirit after maybe a rocky start in Europe. That counts for a lot.
Definitely. One last intangible, the off-field atmosphere. Reports suggest Inter's camp is quite calm.
Yeah, sounds like business as usual at Epiana Gentile. Focused.
But for PSG, there was some trouble after the semifinal win. Fan unrest.
Unfortunately, yes. Reports of clashes, arrests, not ideal preparation. Any kind of off-field distraction can potentially unsettle the camp.
So a potentially quieter build-up for Inter might be a small advantage.
It could be. Staying focused, avoiding external noise. It all helps in the run-up to such a huge game.
Okay, let's try and pull this all together. The verdict. Where do we land? It feels like PSG have a slight edge on paper, maybe.
You could argue that. Their tactical fluidity, that 3-2-5 shape.
The sheer individual brilliance they have. Hakimi, Dembélé.
Right.
If they turn it on.
Plus Luis Enrique's adaptable approach, slightly better XG figures with the bookies favoring them slightly. It all points towards a marginal PSG advantage.
Inter are no pushovers, far from it.
Absolutely not. Their defensive organization is superb. Jan Sommer in goal has been fantastic.
And they have clutch players, Lautaro Martinez, obviously. Even someone like Vertesi coming off the bench can make a huge impact.
Definitely. And if Inter score first, their low block, their ability to counterattack quickly, they could frustrate PSG immensely. It's a genuinely well-matched final.
So if we had to put a probability on it, forced to choose.
The tough part. It's so close. But maybe.
Yeah.
Slight lean to PSG, say 55% chance for PSG, 45% for Inter.
Okay, 55-45 PSG, and likely score lines. What feels plausible?
Given the attacking talent, you expect goals. Maybe a PSG 2-1 win in normal time.
That feels possible.
Or maybe it goes longer, a 1-1 draw, and perhaps Inter nicking it 2-1 in extra time. That also feels like a very real possibility given their resilience.
Intriguing. Finally then, match night itself. What are the key things you'll be watching for right from the start? Little clues.
Okay, first off, early fitness signs. How freely is Martinez moving in the warm-up? Does Dembélé look sharp in his first couple of sprints? Little visual cues.
Watch out, what else?
Hakimi's positioning. Is he starting really high and wide? Suggests PSG want to attack vertically straight away? Or is he a bit deeper, showing respect for DeMarco?
Tells you about their game plan intentions.
Exactly. Then, the midfield battle. How are Çalhanoğlu and, say, Vitinha or Ugarte trying to impose themselves? Are they pressing high, sitting off? That will dictate the tempo.
Makes sense. Anything else?
Set pieces. We know Inter are strong. They scored quite a few in the knockouts. Yeah. PSG have looked a bit vulnerable defending them at times. Conceded a couple against Villa. Could be crucial.
Excellent point. So just to recap everything we've covered. We looked at how they got here, their domestic form, who's fit, the tactical chess match.
Yep, the key battles, the stats.
Yeah.
Those intangible factors like experience and pressure.
And landed on a tentative verdict, leaning slightly PSG, but acknowledging Inter's strengths, and highlighted what to watch for on the night.
Tried to cover all the angles, give you that full deep dive into what promises to be a fascinating final.
It really does. And maybe a final thought for everyone listening, just consider those contrasting pressures we talked about. Inter, adding to a rich history. PSG, desperate for that first taste of glory.
That psychological dimension. How it plays out under the lights in Munich.
It could be the defining factor, couldn't it? Something to definitely ponder as we all count down to kickoff. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.